All right. So if there are no questions, now let me show you the other way of creating the CDT file, CDT object. So when we create the CDT, we see the option that we have creating from the scratch that we have seen. The third option we have seen that from the database table or a view. The second option is that duplicating the type, which is very easy. And then fourth one is the importing the XST file. So what is an XST file? Let me show you an XST file. So the the CDT that we created from the database, I'll open that CDT and I'll go to the setting icons here at the top, and then we download the XST file. Okay, and then let me open this one as well. And then what I'll do, I'll just also download the file of XST of the CDT, the one that we created manually. Okay, so just to do the comparison. So I'm downloading two XST files, one from the CDT that we have created manually, and other from the uh, that we have created from the database table or view. Okay, so these are the two XST files. Let me share my screen back. Downloads, open with plus. Okay, all right. I hope you guys can see my screen. All right. Now you see this one, right? This is an XST file. This is an XST schema that Appian generates into the backend for every CDT we create. This is the XST file of the uh, CDT that we have created from the database table or view, and the other is that the one that we have created manually. Okay, now we will see some difference here. Why? Because as we are creating the CDT from the database table or view, we will have a lot of syntax available here, which will help us to understand that this CDT is built from where. Now you can see that first of all, under the schema here, uh, this is a complex type where we are defining the name of our CDT. So this is nothing but the name of our CDT. Inside that, we have an annotations tab, closing and ending the annotations, where we have defined the at the rate of tables. At the rate of table is meaning this is an JP annotation, JP Java programming annotations, where at the rate table meaning that what is the name of the table, which table it is representing. So it is representing COP underscore customer details table. So in the CD itself, we have the mapping, we have this understanding that okay, this CD is from the which table. Okay, is that okay? Any question here? So the one JP annotations we are talking here is that at the rate of table. Okay, all right. Now, if you see the other part is that documentation. This was the name description that we have given, right? This CT is connected with the COP customer table, this table. So this is covered in the documentation. So one JP annotation we talk about here is that at the rate of table, which means that this CDT is connected with which table. Now, if you go to the one that we have created manually, here we do not have such options. It's just a plain CDT that we have created. It is not connected to any database. It is not connected with any other columns. Nothing is there. Okay. All right. Now you can see here the if you go below where the element started. Here is the first element. The first element is called the COS ID, customer ID, right? It is the name of the CDT parameter, and inside that we have some configuration where we see this at the rate of column. It means that this is taking the attribute of your column from the database. So it says that the column name is customer ID, the label is false, unique is true, and column definition is integer. So this is a type of integer. So we need to define that, and at the rate of column is an JP, another JP annotations which represent that this particular column is represent with which database column. Okay. We also have generated value. Can anyone guess what is the use of this at the rate of generated value JP annotation? Any guesses? Just like the at the rate of table means that this what is the table it is connected. At the rate of column means that under this table which column it is connected. So what could be the meaning of at the rate of generated value? Any wild guesses? Try it out.
The customer ID which is given by the company.
Generated value means it is an auto increment, right? In database, you remember whenever we created this table, we have marked this column as an auto increment, right? So the JPA annotation generated value represent that this particular column is also a auto increment value into the database table. Okay, what could be the meaning of ID? Just a guess. What would the ID?
A row identifier.
It's a primary key.
It's a primary key. That is correct. So this particular column is also a primary key. So this JPA annotations represent that each element of this CDT is a primary key, right? Now you can see that these values are not available in any other columns. Why? Because in the table only this column is the column which has a primary key property, and it is also an auto increment, right? So we have learned about like 4 JPA annotations here at the rate of table. It means that which table it is representing. At the rate of column represent that under the table which column it is being associated, and then at the rate of generated value means that this particular element or this particular parameter or column what we can see in the CDT is a auto increment, and then at the rate of ID represent that it is also a primary key. Now how could a question could be there into the interview? If you go for the interview, they will say that what are the type of ways we can create a CDT. So what could be your answer? The answer would be we can create a CDT in 4 types. First is the from the scratch or manually. Second is like from duplicating one of them. The third would be the importing from the database table or view, and fourth is like XST file. When you define these four, they can ask that, okay, what is an XST file? Can you please explain? So you can explain that. Let's say, for example, we create a CDT from the database table or view. We will have an XST file which will have all the mapping or XST file generation for that particular CDT, which can have all the information of your uh, CDT attributes, like from which table it has connected, what's the column. Then they'll say that how do you know that this particular CDT is connected with which table? Then your answer would be that with the help of the JPA annotations. They'll say what are the JPA annotations. So you can say I come across some of the JPA annotations like at the rate of table, which means that this particular CDT is connected with which table. At the rate of a column, which means that this particular element or attribute or parameter, whatever you can say in a CDT, right, is connected with which column. At the rate of generated value, which means that this is an auto increment, and at the rate of ID, which represent it is a primary key, right? Now, if you go with any other column, it always have at the rate of column, right? Because no other property is associated. It will have the column attribute. It will say the name, what is the name of the column name in the database, and here it will suggest the name of your CDT attribute. It also has a column definition. Whatever the size we have given into the database, the size will come here as a varchar. Okay. Any question into the XST file? So when they are saying the yeah, go ahead.
This code all we have to write manually or it is inbuilt, Ravi?
Have I written this code manually? It is there, right?
No.
If you are good at XST file, so that is the fourth option, right? Let me show you. So what they are saying as the fourth, what is the fourth option that they are saying is that we need to create a CD from the SST file. Like if you have the XST file with you, you can upload the XST file directly and then it will create a CDT. Like so for example, I'm going to upload the XST file. I'm going to upload the XST file that one I have it right now, the customer details. I'll just upload this one here. Okay. So I mean, right now it is already available into my some other applications. So that says no new data type to be created. It's already there, right? But if you can write an XST file, you can do that. Otherwise, you can simply go and upload the XST file and it will create a CDT for you. But we do not have to write this XST file because all these informations are already available. If you go and download the XST file, it will give you the this thing. So open any CDT, go to the setting icons and download the XST file. Okay, clear?
Okay.
Okay. Now the one option is left with us is that creating a duplicate. So I can select the duplicate existing data type. Here I need to select some type. So whatever we are going to duplicate. So let's say I'm going to duplicate this customer details, and I'll just give some other name. I'll just say copy. Okay, and then click on create. So what it will do? It will again create the same CDT with the existing CDT. You see, everything is there. So now we are able to create a CDT with this particular copy paste. So all the four options are clear. Any questions there? How we can create a CDT? Okay.
No.
Now, okay. Now let's have question time. Okay. Vivek, what are the ways of creating a CDT? Vivek, can you hear me? All right. Rahul, can you explain what are the ways of creating a CDT? Only the ways, type of CDTs. If you are talking, I am not able to hear you. Okay, who would like to answer this? What are the four ways of creating a CDT?
We-
No. Yeah, building from scratch,
Okay,
duplicate the tables and create from database and XSD
okay,
file.
okay. That
Four
is
times.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay. And who can answer that? What are the JP annotations we talk about today?
Sorry, can you
JP
repeat it?
annotations. What are the JP annotations we talk about today?
Generated generated
Generated ID.
generated
Generated value.
value.
And what is the meaning of generated value?
It will generate random
No, it's not
value.
generated a
Yeah.
random number. It's an auto increment. It
Auto
means
increment.
that
Yeah.
it's auto increment. Okay. What is the next?
Column.
Primary
At the
key.
So for what
At
is
the
the
rate ID.
JP annotation for the primary key? What
For
is the
customer.
JP annotation? No, what is the JP annotations for the primary key? At the rate of ID. Okay.
Yeah.
And what others?
Custom. Customer ID.
Now at the rate of table, which says that which table it has been represented, and the at the rate of column to represent which column it is associated, right? So for JP annotations, at the rate of table, at the rate of column, at the rate of generated value, at the rate of ID. These are the basic four JP Anderson, if you can answer these four, you are good enough to clear that question at least. Okay. All right. Let's move that. Now, as we are created this table, I wanted to create another CDT for the other table that we have created. Who can tell me how do I do that? We have another table, right? Customer address. So how do I create a CDT for that? Where do I need to go and what options I need to select?
Go to new.
Okay.
And select data type.
Data type. Okay.
Yeah, actually, but we can create in 4 methods, right? 4 types. So we can select from scratch or anything.
But I want to create that CDT for my table that we have customer address. Then which option I need to go?
From
Create
scratch.
database. Create from database.
Okay. Yes. And then.
Data source.
Okay. Access the data source. Here.
Table.
What should I?
Customer
Okay.
details.
Customer details we created. Customer address. Yeah.
Address.
Hit continue. Okay. And then we can put some description. This CDT is associated with COP underscore customer address table. And what is the best practice we need to follow here?
Disable that data
Camel.
store.
That camel
Yes,
casing.
camel.
We just need
But
to put
Ravi, yesterday while creating this table, we have actually you said a foreign key, but where we have to declare that foreign key while
we'll do
creating
that.
that. Okay,
Okay.
okay, okay,
Okay.
okay, fine.
Let's do that first then.
Okay.
So we go to the database. Thanks for reminding. I'll go to the table. This is the table customer address, right? Go to the structure, and here we need to define this particular customer ID as a foreign key, right? So how do we do that? Go to the relation view, give the name of the constraint. I'll just give the name as foreign key underscore COP customer details. I just given the name of this foreign key, okay? And then I'll say add the column. Which column I want to add? I want to add on to the customer ID. And then it says table. Which table you want to select? So I want to select COP customer details. So once I select this COP customer details, it automatically take that customer ID of that, the primary key of that particular table. Okay. Now once I do that and click on save, the table is now linked. If I go to the structure now, you see that foreign key has been added here. Okay. So how do I do that? Go to the relation view, give the name of the foreign key, select the table column, which column you want to associate, select the table from which table you want to link it, and then it will automatically take the primary key of that particular table. So here we have selected customer details table, and then the customer ID is taken here. Once we do and click on save, it will generate the foreign key for you. Okay, so foreign key has been now connected here. Okay, now if I go and create the data type from here, the third option, select the data stored, go to the table of view. Now see the foreign key has been added here. Okay, I'll just give the description. This table is being connected with COP underscore customer address table. I'll just follow the best practice of camel casing here. This is fine here. Okay. You know what? Okay, that's fine. So right now we do not have any data store, so I just uncheck this checkbox. We'll come to that part later for other CDTs. I'll say create. So now once I do that, my CDT will be get created. Okay. I just want to make change here from integer to boolean because it is tiny int that we have taken. So this one change we might have to do, and we click on save changes. So now you see that this particular table column is being associated with a foreign key. If I go and download the XST file for it, okay. Now let me share my screen for your XST file. I see that table name is there, right? We have the description given. It's here. Generated value for this table because this was the primary key. So table generated value and then at the rate of ID. Now, one more JP annotations we can talk about, that is join column. Join column means that this particular column of the city or from the table is representing a foreign key. So the another JP annotations we talk about here is a join column, which means that this is a foreign key. Okay, and then the other columns are like as it is, only the column attribute, on the column JP annotations, which is giving the name of the column and then definition of like what is the length of that column. Okay, any question? All right, cool. Shall we move next, guys? Are you clear with the CDTs? No doubts?
So I have one doubt here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Example, we have created two tables here,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, in the middle of the application,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to add any column,
Okay.
so what is the best way where we can add it in the CTD or in the database or in the SSD? So,
Okay. So if you have created the table first and then the CDT, you can go in the same way, create the column into the CDT and then update, download the XST file and then update that. Okay, let's learn that as well. Can anyone tell me any of the column that they wanted to add here? Anything that we might have missing? We can see one option here. It says COP. Let's say into the customer address, we have ID, state, city, district, country, everything is there. Into the customer details. Let's say I want to add a middle name. Okay. All right. Let's
okay.
say I want to add a middle name here. In as you said, in mid of the application, business wants to have a middle name as well. So here we can say add one column and where you want to add. If I want to add in between the first name and last name, let's say I go after the first name. Okay. Add first name, one column after the first name. I say go. When I say go, it will say, okay, what is the name? I want to have middle name. Okay. The type it is going to be varchar. Let's say I take the exam length size of 50 and then initially it can be null. Okay. Now for future purpose, for the future deployment, if you want, you can copy the 60 file, copy the SQL script and then keep it with you, okay, to execute it onto the higher environment, and then you click on the save. Once I do that, a middle name has been added here. Okay. Now if I go back to my CDT, I do not have the middle name here, right? So what we can do, we can go to the setting icons, right, and download the XST file. Once we download the XST file, the XST file will get downloaded, which I have it here, right? Customer details, right? Now we have added one column called middle name in between of the first and last name. Order doesn't matter. You can add at the last as well. That's fine. But as we are following the pattern, then you see there are multiple elements, one element for customer ID, one element for first name, one element for the last name. Likewise, we have, right, different elements. So what we can do, we can just copy one element. I copy this element and hit enter and paste it here, right? What is the name of the column? Middle name. Same we can follow for the CDT name here. So this is going to be name of the CDT parameter, and this is the name of the table. We have also given the size 50, so this is fine, and this is fine. Anything else is not required, right? I'll just click on save. I save this XST file. Okay. Now I go to my Appian application. So here, go to the setting icons, and then we see an option, create new version from XST, right? Select this option, upload the XST file that we have. So I'm going to upload the XST file, customer details. Okay. It says everything looks great. Click on the create new version. So once we do that, middle name has been added here. Okay. Is that clear? So what is the
Yes.
way? First you update the column into the database, right? And then come to your CDT, download the XST file, make the changes into the XST file, and then save it. And then you go to the setting icons of your CDT, go to the create new version and upload the XST file and click on the save. It will save it. Yeah. Cool. Good question. Thanks. Who asked this question? Gaurav? You?
Myself.
Rahul.
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 Yeah. All right. Thanks, Rahul. So this is what I
And
want from you
and
guys,
one
Yeah.
and one question I have regarding this. We are trying to sorry, in the database and CDT we are using the camel case, right? Uh,
Hmm.
so we
Yes.
can use capital uppercase in database.
I mean, see that is the naming convention. It depends also like what your company follows. If your company follows the all in capital, that is also fine. There is no issue on using like uppercase or lowercase or whatever, right? That is totally fine. It just happens suggests it would be good if you can use a camel casing. So it will be in sync, right?
Oh, okay,
There is no harm in
okay.
using capital letters. Many companies follows all the database tables in the capitals, so they create in the capital letters, right? But that is fine. That's just a I can suggest that if you can do that. Otherwise, that is totally okay. No issue, no error will be there, right? Okay. So yeah, this is what I want from you guys. Right? If you ask more question, I can explore more and I can let you know. Teach you well. So this is one point. All right. So now we can see that these cities are created. Okay. Now, how do we connect this CDT with the database with the help of entity? So during the demos, we talk about the entities, right? So how do we create that? Let's go to the new and then click on the data store. Okay. Once we go to the data store, we can give the name as COPDS. I just give the short name as data store DS. Okay. I'll say this data store is connected with Appian in-house database. Okay. How do I define that? It's that this is connected with the in-house database. Now below is the data source. Imagine if you have created some more data source like Oracle or SQL Server from a third party and connected here, those will be listed here again. You can select any one of them and click on the one that you wanted and then click on the create. Once we do that, it will automatically take the configuration like COP users, it is taking as a viewer, and admin is taking the administrator role, and click on the save. Once we do that, our data store will be open. A data store window will be open. Right here, you can see that this is the data source is Appian Tomcat. That is nothing but in-house database. And then we have entities. Add the entities. Right now it is blank. So we go and click on add entity. When we say that, it says that, okay, what is the name of your entity you want to have? I say COP underscore customer details underscore entity. Okay. Now, once we do that, it will say what is the type of your entity, right? Once you hit next, like, so it will say, okay, you need to select the type. So the type is nothing is going to be your CDT that we have created, COP underscore customer details. Okay. Once we do that and hit OK, it will take the type of your CDT and click on save changes. Once we do that, you see that one mapping has been done here. This particular entity is connected with which type. This is defining your CDT type. And then below, you will see the option of verify. Why verify? Just to check it is successfully connected or not. Just because in our CDT, you remember the XST file that we have seen. In the XST file, the mapping was given so nicely at the rate of table and the table name. My data store is able to understand which table it has to connect to this entity. With the help of CDT and the JPO annotations, my data store will understand that this particular entity needs to be connected which table, right? Once we verify, it says that entity mapping is verified. So we can click on save and publish. Once we do save and publish, it means that we have successfully established one connection for this table. Okay. Likewise, if I want to add more, how do I do that? I click on add entity. Now, one more thing here. The name of this entity and that CDT could be the same. That's totally fine. But just to make you understand, okay, this is an entity name, we are given the entity name, okay, underscore entity, but it could be the same. Now the second that we wanted to add is called COP underscore customer address. What is the type I need to select here?
COP customer address.
Customer address. So what is this one? What is
address.
this COP customer address? It's a table name or CDT name?
Table name.
No. You see here, what it's saying? Choose a data type.
Okay. Yeah. CDT. Yeah. CDT
right?
name.
Okay, hit OK. I'll add underscore entity as well. I'll click on save. So now, once we add a new entity, again we need to verify it. Okay, I'll just verify. It also verified successfully. It means that table is available into the system. I click on save and publish. Okay. Now, for example, you remember, right? We have created one copy of your existing copy of the CDT, right? Now let me share that XST file again. Now first I'll download it. I'll go the test application that we have created, and this is the one that we created copy, right? I open this CDT and download the XST file. Okay, I'll open this XST file. Let me share my screen back so you guys can see it actually. Okay, so this is the copy of my, see the name is the copy. In the table name, it says COP customer details. I'll just add 123, something, some random number I just added, right? So this table is not available into my system, right? In the database, we do not have a table name called COP customer details 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? I'll just save this one. I'll just save this one. Okay, now I'll go to my Appian, and then I'll try to recreate the CT. So this is a copy, and then I'll go here and I'll say create new version from the XST file. Upload the copy one. Okay, I'll just say create new version. Okay, I just created a new version of the CT. Now if I go here and try to add an entity here, I'll just give the taste 1, 2, 3, and then type, I'll select COP underscore the details, and then click on OK and click on save. Now if I go and click on verify, oops, okay, I think this is not published. 1 second. It is not published. Just a second. Download the XST file. It has the table name 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 add in. Why it's taking the COP underscore copy. Okay. Okay, so you see this one, right? As this particular XST file that we have added, it is having cap1. It means the version 1, because the version 1 was having the CDT name properly, the table name properly. But here we do not have the proper name of the table, so it is not even accepting that. In some case, suppose something is gone wrong and you are trying to update that one, and then click on the verify, it will say that the table is not available. Okay, now for example, let me add another entity. Let me delete this one. Let me add test 1, 2, 3. We created one more COP. No, TA customer details, right? I'll just try to add this one. TA underscore customer details. I'll add this one. So is there any table that we created for TA customer details? We don't, right? There's no table in the system that is all TA customer details. I'll try to save and then click on verify. You say no matching tables found, right? If you go to the more information, it says that the data source schema does not match the type mappings, missing table TA customer details. So we do not have the customer details, TA customer details created into the system. That's why the data store is not able to verify it successfully. Okay, so that's the reason we are not able to, we will not be able to publish, successfully connect this entity. So in case your table is missing or your column is missing, the database that the data store will not allow you to save and publish the proper way. Okay, got it? That clear,
Probably
guys?
this is, uh, here we have automatically updated database view. What is that? That checkbox.
Okay, let me show you. It's not automatically. What you have to do is that, let's say I'm going to test and then TA verify. Create the table automatically. Once you save and publish, what it will do that in the backend, in the system, it will create a table called in the name of TA customer details. Once you click on save and publish, in the database, it will create a table for you, TA customer details. Okay, right now, if I go to the database, there is no table, right? Now let me do that, save and publish. Okay, I save and publish. Now if I go here, you see a table has been created. So this table has been created by the Appian. If you go to the structure, it also created an auto increment ID, given the customer ID, first name, last name, DOB, whatever the field we had, it is there now. Okay, but you see the naming convention all are in small. There's no naming convention of a table. That's how, if you want to create a table from your Appian directly, you can do that, but then it will not follow the naming convention. It will create all in smaller case. Okay. Otherwise, if you want to create it manually, it will give you the script for you as well. Okay, is that clear? Thanks for asking that question. Any question into the database, guys? Data store. How do we add an entity? How do we solve the issue if there are any while verifying the data store? So now this brings up the concept of the thing that we learned the other day in the Excel sheet I have shown you guys, right? Let me share it again. Now it will make more sense. Where is that? Have I copied? Okay. Okay. This is what we talked about the other day, right? So we have a data type created RMP employees, and then this was a data store, and this is a Appian database table. So this data store was connected with the table database, right, directly, and then inside that we have an entity. Each entity represents the name and the type of it. The type you are giving this type from the data type, so that it was able to connect with the associated tables from here. Now it makes sense. How do we define a data store, how it is connected to the database table, and then how do we define an entity. Each entity will represent a mapping with a particular table, right? Is that clear now? Any questions? See, all those things that we have done till today, right? We have not write a single line of code. It's all configurations mapping that we are doing it. Imagine in Java now, right? It will require a lot of coding to do the connection strings, and then creating the CDTs and all, right? Structure of the class file and all, right? But here we just created some configuration, and then it's ready. Is that clear, guys? Any question here? Is that image now make sense to you guys? Yes, no, not applicable, anything else?
Okay. Why we are creating the entity is actually relation between take the relation, right? Like to connect the database particular column
So
while
in
using the
in
entity.
in future, I mean, when the application will proceed in the application, we will collect the information from the user, right? And then those
Mhm.
information we need to write to the table, right?
Okay.
So on that time, this entity will be required.
Okay.
We cannot write the data without the help of entity. Even if you want to retrieve the information back to the system, we cannot do that without the help of entity. I mean, we can in the record and all, but currently we cannot do that without the help of entity. Okay.
So whenever required, we can call the entity instead of data type, right? Data store.
Obviously,
Data
I
store.
mean,
Sorry,
see,
data store.
to write the data and to retrieve the data, we will require the data store entity.
Yeah, data store
CDT,
entity. So instead of data
yeah,
store entity, we have to call the entity.
I mean that's the same thing. Data store entity. I'm saying data store entity.
Okay.
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 So and the CDT is for to holding your data in that structure. So your data should not be segregated here and there. Just to collect all data at the same place, we are creating a CDTs. Okay, and so that and whenever we want to write the data to a table with the help of this entity will say that, come on, I want to write to this particular table, give me the data of this structure, right? I cannot go and write like address table to the customer details and customer details data to address table. We should be maintaining the type as well. On that time we will require the data type. Okay, so every entity will write the data, it will require a proper data type as well, isn't it? Okay,
Okay. Okay.
that's what the use of the data store entity. All right, guys, I think let it be for today. I think otherwise it will be too much. So I mean, whoever has the access now, they can start creating the application, they can start creating the data store data type, and in the system. I see, as of now nobody has done that, but yeah.
Yeah, I got access, so I can use my account. Actually, individual, I got it my account, my access. So
Okay, cool.
I have created through my company. I got it.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Perfect. But yeah, I have given into the WhatsApp group, so
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
if you want to use there, you can also use that.
Yeah, Ravi. Actually, see, suppose if I complete this course, I need to change this technology. I need to at least put the 2 years or 1 year or 1.5 year, 3 years experience on this. So,
Mhm.
so for that. you will give the training like any one real time training like any project or so if suppose if I face the interview they will ask to write the code like that people are nowadays they're asking the write the code right
Mm-hmm.
so so that will you give the again one more like is there any section for particular real time.
So this is what we are going to create a real, isn't it? This what don't you think this application is going to be a real-time application that we are creating from the scratch? Everything is there. So we are
Okay,
going to complete this application as the customer onboarded, right? We will create
okay,
this customer account. We will create these address details. We will capture, we create the accounts. We'll send an emails. We'll do all the things here. Don't worry about this. This is going to be a real-time application.
okay, okay, right. Thank you.
All right.
Because actually basically I'm not aware of the code side so that's why we are came background from DevOps or any other so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
If suppose if Java people if anyone Java or .NET those they will know how to handle that code if they ask anything so that's why I'm
Hmm.
asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
It will take one or two interview to understand what kind of questions they are asking, right? So once you will, it's not like you go with the one interview and you clear it,
Yes,
right?
correct.
So
Yes, correct.
you
Yeah,
need to go
it will
two,
take
three
time,
interviews to understand
three,
the
four,
question
five interviews.
patterns, and then once you start gaining the question patterns, you will start understanding okay how to answer that, right?
Okay, 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 right. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Do the practice still here, and then we can connect on Monday to this Friday, right? Yeah. On
Yeah,
Monday.
okay.
So
Yeah,
we
okay.
have 2 days gap. Try to cover up, go through the recordings, see if you have missed any topic, any discussion, then do it up and then
So for this group, for this class, you created one group, one WhatsApp group,
it's
or
it's already created. It's already created. I think it's just the memory will get added there once you do the payment. So that's the thing.
okay. Yeah, okay. We will check
Mm.
with the manager. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for joining. Happy weekend. Let's connect on Monday at the same time, and we can proceed
Thank
then.
you.
Thank you.